Hi guys, welcome back to Automobile Infos. I've lived with the BE6 for 7 months and today I'm going to do the SWOT analysis of the car. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Mr. Gagan sir because this video idea is inspired by him. I love his work, I love his videos. I'm sure you've seen him quite a few times. So, the BE6, I got this in December 2025. Until now, I've done about 45 to 4600 kilometers in this. And let me tell you, I've experienced each and every bit of this beast. So, to give you an overview, in this video, we're going to discuss the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, means who should buy this car, and the threats, which means who should not buy this car. So first, the strengths. Mahindra has always been focused on safety. This is another 5-star rated car. You can expect sheer safety. It feels heavy, it feels robust. There is no doubt about that. The second positive is the looks. Just look at how crazy it feels. People still stop the car, people still ask what it is. They stare, they click pictures, they make videos. This is one of the best looking cars in India under 30 lakhs, if not the only one. The looks are radical. It's kind of a love it or hate it, but I haven't seen many people hate it till now. So if looks are primary to you, if you want something futuristic, if you want something different, then this is a car you should definitely add to your list. The other positives we're going to discuss while driving. So let's head in and I'll tell you everything. The third and by far the biggest positive of this car is the driving feel. I've driven a couple of Audis, I've experienced them while driving, and let me tell you, this is right up there. Because this is an EV, it has a low center of gravity and it feels super stable. You feel very connected to the car, so you can take it sharp across the turns. You can be quick around the turns, which you can't be with many more cars in this segment. Even in the 9e, that is a tall car, this is lower, it is more aerodynamic and it is absolutely a delight to drive. The next positive is the cabin feel. The cabin does not feel like 30 lakhs. Yes, plastic quality is not the best, but you can't expect everything in 30 lakhs. The interior feels futuristic. You've got these controls up here. The steering is so new. It feels very different. It feels super interesting. These dual 12.3 inch screens, these are also amazing. They're consistent. They hardly lag. And the 360-degree camera, it's super clean. You can see each and everything. It is very clear. Even at night, it's super clear. You get these touch control lights here. Not many cars in this segment are offering so many features. The moonroof has ambient lighting, the car has ambient lighting. I mean, it has almost every feature that you can ask for. So this is super feature rich, and that would be the next positive. The next positive is the power. You get 282 bhp, and in an EV that feels more than the numbers say. You press hard on the accelerator and it actually moves so fast that it's even hard to process. You get a nice car in this segment and it would do 0 to 100 in 9 or 10 seconds on a good day. This one just takes 6.7 seconds to reach the 3-figure mark. It flies and you can actually feel that push behind. You feel that push back into your seat, and that is absolutely amazing. But a car is never just the positives. That brings me to the next segment of this video, which is the weaknesses. That is the negatives of this car. The first negative, and one of the most major negatives, is that this is an EV, and EV infrastructure in India is not that great. And I've also experienced it. Many other owners have also experienced it. You go to 10 charges, 5 of them won't be working because power outage is there in 3, the gun is not there in 2, 1 is defective. So don't expect more than 70% of the charges to work, and an EV requires intense planning before you go on any trip, especially if you're going to the hills. The next negative, and if we leave the EV negative out, then I think that this is the most major flaw in this car, that is the suspension. I'm not saying that the suspension is bad. Well, it is honestly, but it's not because of the hardware, it's because of the software. I've posted detailed videos on how the suspension is a mess. You can check those out. But to give an overview in this, the suspension is highly inconsistent. It will not work when you expect it to, and it would when you least expect it to. So out of 10 days, it will work on 2 days, and that actually becomes a horrific experience. On the days when it is not working, the suspension is so stiff that you can even feel the pebbles on the road. I get that this is supposed to be a performance car, it's supposed to feel like a sports car. But Audis, BMWs, even those are performance cars, but still the suspension is sorted in them. A car should be able to adjust to the road conditions. It should be comfortable for the people sitting inside. What will I do with performance if I can't drive it properly because of the stiff suspension? It is expected that the suspension will be fixed with the coming major updates, but before they are fixed, I will not pass any comments. What I've experienced so far is that this is not a comfortable car 8 days out of 10. The 2 days when the suspension is working fine, this is a gem. You actually get power, you get comfort, you get looks, you get everything. But if consistency is something that matters for you, this is still not the one to go for. The next negative is the visibility issues. Since this has a coupe design, the rear glass is sloping and you can't see much out of the rear view mirror. I actually have a habit of using the side mirrors more than the rear view mirror, so this does not matter too much to me. I got used to it within a couple of days. But if you're someone who uses this rear view mirror primarily, then I'd suggest you go for thorough test drives and then choose the car. Also, the A-pillars are pretty wide and that can also take some getting used to, but nothing major. It will just, you see the suspension, so you just get into one pothole and you realize how bad the suspension actually is. Anyways, the visibility issues are nothing major, but it can take some getting used to. And also you sit pretty low in the car, so you can't see the bonnet at all. Right now also I can see just the edges, which is the left edge and the right edge. But since the bonnet is also sloping, you can't see ahead of you, and this glass is also very slanting. So this space ahead of you is actually very big, and it can be a little hard to estimate where the car ends, especially on the first few days. The next negative would be the software inconsistency. So since I bought this car, I faced multiple issues and they're still going on. The infamous base cut issue was there, which thankfully has now been resolved, although I hope it does not come again with the next major updates, because the amplifier, as it gets updated, it actually loses clarity, then gains clarity, then base cut comes, various other issues. So it's not been consistent so far. I've also faced other software glitches, such as the moonroof got stuck one time. Sometimes the outside rear view mirrors do not fold when you lock the car, which they should. Sometimes the auto dimming IRVM doesn't work. Sometimes the HUD doesn't work. Most of these actually fix themselves when you perform a hard reset on the car. That actually means that you turn the car off, then you walk away with the key for 15 to 20 minutes. That actually allows all the systems to shut down and then restart properly. So after that, most software niggles refine themselves, although some still stay. And also the software updates have been inconsistent from Mahindra. The people who bought this car months back are not on the latest versions, but the people who bought the car now are on the latest versions. So the features that were marketed, driver profiles, custom mode, NFC, etc., those are still not there for us. They're there for the new owners. So if you're looking to buy the car now, you'll get 99% of the features. NFC is still not active for the 9E and the PE6. Some owners have got it working on the 9S. The next negative is the seat comfort. The seats do not have that good an under thigh support. The floor is risen because of the battery, and so it feels not that comfortable. Also, rear space is compromised because of the coupe design. Headroom is less, under thigh support, as I said. Although width wise 3 people can sit comfortably, the cabin is pretty wide, so there is no issue as to that. Even the floor is flat. Also, the rear AC is not that efficient because you cannot direct the airflow left and right. You can only direct the height. So if people are sitting towards the doors or the center or wherever, you cannot change the direction of the airflow. It is where it is, although you can change the height. But I found that the rear AC is not that effective. Next, we come to opportunities. So who should buy this car? Well, if you drive a lot and primarily in the city, then you get all the benefits of an EV, which is low running cost and low maintenance. You also get a super well insulated cabin, so it feels very premium. You do not hear a thing inside. You can hardly hear the motor whine at city speeds. Yes, when you hard accelerate and when you go above 70 or 80 or 90 kilometers per hour, then you can obviously hear the motor whining. But if you drive in the city, if you drive a lot, if you want something which looks cool, which is absolutely amazing to drive, which has all the features, which feels premium, then you can definitely go for this. If you want something unique, something different other than these 7XO, Harrier, Creta, these cars that are pretty common, like you see them every day, and they do not have a radical design, they do not have a unique design. So if you want something different, then you can definitely go for this one. Now let's come to threats, which means who should stay away from this car. If you're someone who likes your vehicle to be consistent, everything working every day perfectly, then this is absolutely not the one to go for. I'm young, I can drive to the service center every day, I can spend 3-4 hours there. But if you're buying it for your family, if you're buying it for your dad, if you're buying it for someone elderly, and you want something which is consistent, which is performing every day the way it is supposed to, then this is not the one to go for. The next threat is that if you're looking for something comfortable, if you want something for your family, then this is not the one to go for, because as I said, the suspension is a major issue, and rear seat comfort and the overall space in the cabin is not that much. The 9e would be a better car, or the 9S, if you want something for the family. Next, if you hate planning, so if you're impromptu with your plans, if you like to just take the car and go anywhere, that cannot be done with an EV, because again, EV infrastructure. So before you start a trip, you have to do days of research if you're going to the hilly areas. If you're going to Ladakh, for example, you'll find rarely any charges, and even if you do, there's no guarantee that they'll be working. You carry your 3 kilowatt charger, but that's going to take a whole day to charge your car, and that also requires earthing, it requires stable voltage and a number of other things. Also, if your driving is primarily on the highway, then you are going to face some issues. Range anxiety could be there. So I'm getting a range of about 500 when the temperature is good, but that actually drops drastically as the temperature rises. So in the summers, if you do short trips, so in the summers my trips were usually just 10-15 kilometers, and then the car used to be parked in the sun for hours, and the temperature here used to show 45 degrees, 48 degrees. So on those days, I actually got a range of just 200 kilometers on full 100%. That was actually shocking. But then again, if you do longer trips for 50, 60, 70 kilometers, then the range will increase, because the cabin cools down once and then it doesn't spend as much energy in cooling the cabin. In my case, what was happening was that I was traveling for 10 kilometers, and about 5 kilometers of those, the AC was working on full capacity. Then I parked it, car got hot again, and again energy was spent on cooling the car. So in conclusion, if you want people to look at your car like that, if you want people to turn around and ask you what you're driving, they'll be intrigued. There's so many cool things about this car. The auto park, you can move your car with the key. These are features that are now coming into EVs, like the Sierra EV, the 9S. But the BE6 was one of the first to introduce these features in this budget, and this is the coolest looking car in this segment by far. It's not perfect, no car is perfect, and should I buy one is not the right question. It depends on what you need and what are your priorities. Thank you so much for watching this video. If it helped, please like the video. Comment down below what you'd like to see next. Comment down below your questions. I'll be really happy to answer them. Subscribe to Automobile Infos for more such content. Thank you so much for the support so far. It really means a lot. Credit again to Mr. Gagan Chaudhary for this video idea. Check out his channel if you haven't already, which I'm pretty sure you already have. You'll also be seeing a hype button below the video. I'd really appreciate if you could give it a click. I'll see you in the next one. Drive safe and have a happy journey.